By virtue of where we sit at the capital match point, we get the opportunity to work with entrepreneurs seeking capital at the very early stages of that process. And one of the first things we do, almost as a vetting process, is to make sure that the business seeking capital has a coherent set of financial statements. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, that is a prerequisite for getting funded. Let's take a minute and let's talk about one of the important components of those statements, the statement of cash flows. What the statement of cash flows is simply is it's a summary of the receipts of cash for a company during a given period of time, less the disbursements of cash that company has during a given period of time. It gives our investors some real insight, especially for early stage or startup companies, is of the level of cash coming into the company and the company's ability to support itself in the early stages of growth. The statement of cash flows is broken out into three areas, if you will. The cash generated or consumed by operations, the cash generated or consumed by investing activities, and the cash generated or consumed by financing activities. Let's take the cash generated or consumed by operating activities portion. What this does is this takes the net income number that your company generates and converts that to a cash number. For instance, if your company sells on credit, it sold a product to a customer, let's say on 30 days terms. While you recorded that as revenue on the income statement, you didn't actually receive, or you probably didn't receive that cash into the company for during the period which you're compiling the statement of cash flows. So you would take that away. But also on the income statement, there are non-cash charges like amortization or depreciation. Because those don't represent actual cash flows out of the company, you add those back to the income statement and make some other adjustments like this to arrive at a cash generated, again, or consumed by operating activities figure for your company. Then you have the cash used for investing. This is like if you use cash to buy something like equipment, or maybe you use cash to take an equity position in a subsidiary or something like that. This would be the case of cash used for investing activities. On the other hand, if you sold some equipment or if you sold some securities in a subsidiary, this would be an example of cash generated by investing activities. Then you have cash consumed or generated by financing activities. This might be payment of dividends. That would be a disbursement of cash for financing activities. Buying back some stock would be a disbursement of cash for financing activities. Sale of some treasury stock would be a receipt of cash for financing activities. So the way the investor is going to use this is they're going to use this to get a complete picture of the cash you've got coming into or going out of the company. They're going to see how much operations are generating. They're going to see how much cash you're really using to invest, and they're going to see how much cash you're using to finance your company. So what I always tell an entrepreneur, if they've got some statements about it, or if they've got some questions rather about the statements of cash flow, is to give us a call, because ultimately what we want to do is make sure that they have accurate financials so that they can maximize their opportunity of getting funded.